What happened here? Mine.
Go.
All right. All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn executive session? Mr. Heidick.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to adjourn executive session.
All right.
Second Mr. Heidick's motion on adjournment.
All right. It was moved by Mr. Heidick and second by Mr. Griffin to adjourn or exit the executive session. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. We're now back in that regular session at 7:09 p.m. And next thing up is committee reports. So we'll start with street, sidewalk, and lighting with Mrs. Beck.
Thank you, Mr. President. This evening we met in council chambers. We didn't have anything on the agenda, and with that I pass.
Thank you, Ms. Beck. Environmental Health and Social Services, Mrs. Hager.
Thank you, Mr. President. Environmental Health and Social Services met council chambers this evening. We had no requests for legislation. We did have 2 requests for appointments, Mrs. Sandy Baker and Mrs. Joyce Lowe, both to the Board of Health, and with that I pass.
Thank you, Ms. Hager. Planning, Annexation, and Codes, Mr. Heidick.
Thank you, Mr. President. Planning, Annexation, and Codes is calling for the following. Legislation to amend city's CRA area number 1. Legislation to amend city's CRA area number 2. Appointment of Susan Wynn to the City Barberton's Design Review Board for a 3-year term beginning at the beginning of 25. David Wynn to the City of Barberton's Plan Commission for a term of 4 years beginning of the year 2025. Mr. Anthony Harmon to the City of Barberton's Plan Commission for a term of 4 years beginning January 1st, 2025. Jolise Rogers to the City of Barberton's Design Review Board for a 3-year term beginning January 1st, 2025. Sarah Amata to the City of Barberton's Design Review Board for a 3-year term beginning January 1st, 2025. With that, I pass.
Thank you, Mr. Heidick. Oh, I got myself all confused here. What the heck did I just do with all that paperwork? Oh, it's sitting right here in front of me. All right, City Properties, Parks, and Recreation, Mr. Cheatham.
Thank you, Mr. President. City Parks, City Properties, Parks, and Recreation met October 14th, 2024 at 18:01 hours. We didn't have anything legislation-wise. However, we did give a big thank you, shout out to the staff and Parks and Recreation for a job well done for the Mum Festival. Outstanding job. With that, I pass.
Thank you, Mr. Cheatham. Public Welfare and Safety, Mr. Harris.
Thank you, Mr. President. Public Welfare and Safety Committee met on October 14th, 2024. We had 1 request for legislation, a letter from Mayor William Judge requesting legislation to adopt the Summit County Multi-Hazard Mitigation Plan. Emergency wording, 1 reading requested. We voted that out of committee, and we discussed the EMA, Emergency Management App. With that, I pass.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Rules, Marketing, and Development, Ms. Gerhart.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Rules, Marketing, and Development Committee has nothing to report this evening. And with that, I pass.
Thank you, Ms. Gerhart. City Utilities, Mr. Griffin.
Thank you, Mr. President. City Utilities has nothing to report. With that, I pass, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin. Finance and Personnel, Mrs. Thompson. Mrs. Thompson is absent. Co-Chair, Mr. Heidick.
Thank you, Mr. President. Finance Personnel is calling for the following. Legislation to enter into a 3-year contract with the City of New Franklin providing prosecutorial services with emergency wording. Legislation to enter into a 3-year contract with the City of Greene providing prosecutorial services, emergency wording. Legislation to enter into a 3-year contract with the City of Norton in providing prosecutorial services, emergency wording requested. And legislation to enter into contact with Enterprise Fleet Management as the city's fleet vehicle supplier, emergency wording requested. With that, I pass.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Heidick. That concludes our committee reports. Yes, we do. I don't have anything. Is there anything from the body? Council members? Department head? All right. Mayor's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Change for Change this Friday, October 25th at M&M Tap House, benefiting the Barberton FOP. And their Christmas program with the kids in town, as I mentioned previously, called Shop with a Cop. Should be great weather. Hopefully everyone comes out. The next day, Saturday, Drug Take Back Day, from 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. Barberton Police Department, Kiwanis, always a good turnout for that. Later that evening will be the citywide trick-or-treating as well that day on the 26th. This past week, spent some time with middle schoolers and Tom Todd's. It's an organization that goes around and engages middle school students with different aspects of the community. Leaders, this past time, leaders of the community got together and the kids kind of changed and asked different questions between, we were over at Cave and they had a group over at the Magical Theater. I think this is my third or fourth year participating in this activity, so great to connect with the kids and get them out and asking questions, and just another way that the city and the schools, again, we're not a city, we're more of a community, and it bridges that gap. So Tom Todd's is not a Barberton thing, it's a kind of a national thing. So you may know October is Manufacturing Month. We've done a lot in the past to mark Manufacturing Month. We've worked with the schools and the businesses in town to give tours of various businesses that we've all passed a million times throughout our travels of the city, but you may not know what actually goes on in those manufacturing shops. Schools are doing that this month, and we're also highlighting and posting on our website different businesses in town, one a week with the history and kind of where they were and where they are now. It's just very interesting to see the touch Barberton has with its manufacturers throughout the entire world. So it could be a piece or a part that's on the space shuttle, could be the auto industry, could be high tech, could be the Navy. So there's a lot that comes out of this small little town. So I'd like to highlight those manufacturers for the month. Kind of with that, several years ago we started the Barberton Business Jobs Gateway. It's on our website, it's an icon. You can click on that, so if you're unemployed or underemployed, you can search Barberton companies who have listed with us and see what openings are available. So they're listed under different industries that include manufacturing, hospitality, health and wellness, and software engineering. So kind of a one-stop shop for Barberton businesses that are looking for employees. Friday, the Barberton Kiwanis celebrated 100 years here in Barberton. Great celebration. We provided a proclamation, as did Congresswoman Sykes, State Representative Casey Weinstein, and Governor DeWine as well. So it's kind of cool. Over the years since I've been mayor, there's been a lot of things that have turned 100 years old here in Barberton. So whether that's private business like Brogan Concrete, or it's the Salvation Army, the Summit County Health Department, just a lot. And you think about how the world's changed in the last 5 to 10 years. Think about 100 years. I mean, there's a lot has changed, and to be either a private business or a nonprofit and to still be moving forward after 100 years is pretty awesome. And then last thing is health board for this Wednesday is canceled. So, any questions?
Thank you, Mayor. You mentioned the job portal on the city's website there. Is there any update on when we're going to ditch this trash website and get our new one?
We're trying to get you to stop beating around the bush about things. Yeah, so still working on that. I think kind of doing some, Lisa doesn't want to hear this, but we're still doing some beta testing. That's a word that she probably doesn't want to hear, another story, but still doing some testing on it. And I think the big hang up now is making sure that we have that portal for reporting e-ticketing. So making sure that we have that and that it's functional and operational.
I just want to know which is going to be done first, the website or the development code. I just think we should take bets on that.
Director Flaker, what's the odds? Plus 110, plus development code or website, which is done first? What kind of odds we
What's
lay?
the over-under?
Plus,
I put my money on the website.
All right. I agree.
website going off at minus 110.
So, any other questions?
Is anybody working on the web, like, is anybody updating the website or
Yes.
doing anything on it? I
do it
mean,
daily.
okay,
Yeah.
like,
Everybody's
you
responsible for
do,
their own page,
Okay.
their own department.
but, you know,
Ours.
people live and die on the internet. I don't understand why this is taking so long, like,
Yeah, it's just, I think
What's
the
going on here?
functionality of that e-ticketing, which is the hang-up at this point.
okay.
So there's a new landing page, there's a lot more that we wanted to make it more user-friendly than what it was or is at the moment. But, you know, the other thing is, you know, websites are still very significant, but social media is where it's that quick, you know, so we've been doing obviously a lot more on social media too, but want downloadable forms on the website, so you can just input it there and just shoot it off instead of printing it, and sending it in. So there's a lot more that goes into what we want versus what we have. So,
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to trip over all around that thing all of the time too.
Yeah.
And it's a little frustrating. I can
Yeah, you know,
understand
we're
why-
trying to reduce the
I can
number of
understand why this
clicks.
one brings stuff every week.
yeah, trying to reduce the number of clicks it takes to get somewhere, but
Yeah.
what we're all searching for could be totally different, right? So making it those key buzzwords a little more clear. I can't come up with a good example, but we may call the same thing two different names. Right?
Indeed,
You
yeah.
know, so it's that type of thing.
What's
If I knew more about IT and websites, I could go into it further, but I don't.
what
Did
was
you
the
break your-
example,
Don't get me started.
What was the example?
yeah.
Ravenna's?
Of the what?
Was Ravenna's the example when we were looking?
Yeah.
I think the company doing it had done
Okay. Look
updates
at,
for Ravenna's, yeah.
look up Ravenna's, just to kind of get a base idea of the
And they're all a
functionality of
little
the
bit
one.
tough to use, but, yeah.
Yeah, I think they did Barberton schools as well. So, any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. With nothing else, this meeting adjourned at 7:20 PM.
We're good to go.